Hey everybody, it's Brad, and it's been a while since I've done a Floriani Total Control U video. And since I'm not going to do a Floriani Club for November, our big event that we do every November got in the way of that. I figured I may as well make a video, outside of the Floriani Club. This video is going to be a viewer mailbag, so let's go ahead and open up the mailbag to see what we got. Okay, so we've got Jamie Bates has sent me a message. Brad, I'm trying to digitize a design in the new Floriani Total Control U. Running out of time, and I've watched video after video, done exactly what the video says. It does not work. My software does not do what the videos say it's supposed to do. Even in the help menu, the software says to do it a certain way, and it does not work. Well, that's not very specific, but I can imagine several different things that you'd be seeing in help videos and in the instructions that really don't work all that well in the real world. So let's see, I'm now looking for someone to custom digitize a design. Can you please recommend someone to digitize the design? Got 33 t-shirts to embroider, running out of time. Greatly appreciate any help. Well, I don't really know anybody to recommend one way or the other to digitize a design for you, because I don't really have any professional digitizing contacts, really. But I do happen to need a topic for a video, and this will do nicely. So I actually already emailed her back, and she sent me the image that she's trying to digitize. So let's go to the Floriani program, and we'll see what the problem might be. So I'm going to go open up my program here. We'll just do create a new design, and I'm going to bring up the image that she's trying to do as a backdrop. It's a little picture of a dinosaur. So here we go. This little picture of a dinosaur, and he's got a sign that he's holding here. So just looking at this image without really trying to do anything with it, I see a couple of issues that are likely candidates for the frustrations that she is having. One of the ways that various official videos and like the help file will tell you to do is to use the magic wand to digitize from a backdrop like this, which it works great when you've got an image that is perfectly clear, has no shading whatsoever. Then it works pretty good. But on an image like this, where there's shading here, like around the roundness of the nose here, and the roundness of the head, and all this, and kind of a light reflection on this leg, it's just never going to be able to trace this with the magic wand tool. Let's try it and see what it does. Click on my magic wand tool. And I'm just going to click on an area, see what it does with it. See that it's only able to catch this little area. It's all wobbly. Here I can zoom in, and you can see how crazily wobbly. Now, a magic wand traced image is always a little wobbly, but geez, this is just a mess. There's no way that you're going to be able to work with that. So it's going to be the same no matter where I click on here. It's just going to be a mess. It's not able to do it. It's because there's too much noise in the image, and it's it's got shading and all the rest. So just never going to happen to be able to trace that magic wand style. So the other thing that she may be trying to do is to auto-digitize this design, which is actually something that you could do. It's a design that could be auto-digitized, but without doing some relatively basic, but if you don't know how to do it, necessary and not very intuitive editing of this image, it's not going to work. So let's see what she may be seeing when she goes to try to auto-digitize this image. We'll go in and use the auto-digitizing wizard. I already have this image selected, but you'd hit select image and choose Dino, and we'd hit next here. So here's the picture, and we'll hit next. And even if she's watched some of my videos before, she may be changing the background color, which you do need to do to be able to get the whites in his eyes. So she may even be doing this, where you hit edit image and change your background color to something like pink, like that. Get his legs too, and then exiting and going and trying to digitize it like this. But let's just see what the result of this is. See how this is all blocky and it's got all this big patchy layers here. And get to the end here and see what this looks like. So we'll put it in 3D, and yeah, this doesn't look, well, it does look pretty bad. It doesn't look very good at all. I mean, it's recognizable. I'll move it off of the backdrop here so we can kind of compare the two. It's recognizable. It's got some of the shading, but it's really not something that you'd want to put on 30 some odd shirts. So let's go ahead and delete that. Now, the right way to auto-digitize this, if we were going to approach auto-digitizing this design, would be when we go in and open the wizard and hit next, next again. Here we see what the problem is. We have 27 different colors here. That's way too many. So when we go into the edit the image, not only do we need to change our background color from white to something else so that the whites of his eyes show up, we need to get rid of all this shading and get rid of the differences in the colors here. And the way I like to do that is to use the eyedropper tool. Okay, so it's a color picker. Okay, I call it the eyedropper. They call it the color picker in the program. And I'm going to pick the color that I want the majority of the dinosaur to be with this. So when I left click on a color, it actually makes my active color that one that I've clicked on. And now I can go use this paint bucket tool to fill in the rest of these areas and make them all one uniform color. I'm going to leave the dots because I want those to be there, but all the spots here where there's shading, on the leg where that light reflection was, here, 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 all of this, I'm going to get rid of all of that and make it one uniform color all the way around. Make sure you get every little piece. Okay, and then we move on to the next color. This one, yeah, this actually is going to be one of these dark green splotches, so I'll leave that there. I'll get rid of this. I'll actually even leave this one here. We'll get this. Okay, so I think that looks like that's all the green. See, we'll get the red for his tongue. Make that all the same color. Get black for the rest of the mouth here. And for the insides of the eyes, the nostrils, make sure that's all the same shade of black. And now we're going to pick this green for his spots. Get all of this so that they're the same shade. It's tedious, but that's what you got to do to make it right, basically. Alright, the yellow for his belly is several different shades of yellow, so we'll get this and this here, here. We're just, making this all uniform here. I'm going to make his... We could leave the shading here on his toes, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to make it all one color. Just make it easier. Okay, now we've got the little spines on his back. Not sure what kind of dinosaur this is supposed to be, with kind of like a T-Rex, but he's got like Stegosaurus back going on. That's neither here nor there, though. Go ahead, get this gray out of his eyes. And you know what? I'm even going to make it so that his eyes are just one color blue. Little artistic license there. So there we go. That's pretty good. Last thing we need to do is make the background color, and it will be easy for us to add the white square, or not square, rectangle in here after we're done digitizing this. And you know what? I'm going to get rid of this gray shadow under him too. I don't think that's necessary. If you wanted it, you could leave it. It wouldn't really matter that much. Yeah, so there he is. This is a cleaned up version of that original thing that will actually auto-digitize in a reasonable manner. So now we're going to go in and exit here, hit save, and there's my preview. We hit next. See how we don't have all those big blobby mess in there that we had last time? Lovely. We'll hit next and finish. And even now, we're still not done because the auto-digitizer doesn't leave things in the right order. So, but this still looks way better than what we had last time. So let's see. We're going to go in, and I want to, let's see, we'll select, where's my sequence view? Not sure why my sequence view was missing like that. But if that ever happens to you, where your sequence view is just mysteriously gone, all you got to do is double click on the name. It'll break it off, and then you can just bring it back over to where it belongs, and it'll redock. That's happened to me before. I don't know why that happens, but whatever, man. So I'm gonna take let's see, we're gonna take all the black and have that sew out last. I'm gonna right click on it and choose move last. Okay, and then I want to have, let's see, his dark green spots should sew out after the light green. And the software has chosen some weird types of, there's some satin stitches in here that really ought to be fill stitches. So I'm gonna actually take the whole thing and convert everything in this to a fill. There we go. That's this first purple star here, standard fill. I find that auto-digitized designs tend to work a little better as a standard fill. And now this guy is perfectly serviceable. Not the ideal way to digitize them, really. But if you're new to this, I would say that this is a perfectly good result. For not being a digitizer that's got a lot of experience. What I notice is eyebrows are. I managed to forget to turn those a different color, so they really ought to be black. These little eyebrows here. So I'm going to go ahead and make those black and move them down with the rest of the black. There we go. See how they go on top of his eyes and make them pop a little bit. Okay, so that's auto-digitized. All right, so that's the way we. Oh, what we forgot is his white little paper that he was holding. So we'll go and let's see. We'll draw that in. Doesn't have to be exactly right because we can always move it. So we'll move it up like that. We'll make it white and we'll make it a fill. Okay, and then we're going to move this so it shows out first. Move first, and that way he's on top of this. And then we can actually take the majority of him here, right click and choose remove overlap stitches, and it'll actually remove the overlap behind his face here. Okay, so that's a way that you can get rid of overlap stitching. So we'll drag this out. We'll see how it's actually cut out the stitches that are overlapped from it. That way you don't get too dense of a design. You see it does change the fill pattern a little bit, but that's okay. And if you zoom in, you see that it really didn't mess it up. Okay, so that's auto-digitizing it. Now, the ideal way to trace this guy, though, is to be perfectly frank, to trace it manually from the backdrop rather than trying to auto-digitize it or use the auto-digitizing wizard. I'm going to go ahead and delete what I've got here. Goodbye, dinosaur. And we're going to use the drawing tools and the digitizing tools to create this image ourselves. So we'll be able to have a little bit more control over the shapes and the types of stitches that we use in each area. So the first thing you want to do when you're digitizing a design from a backdrop by tracing it manually, or even if you are using the magic wand tool on a design that lets you do that, is you want to look at the layering. Kind of like how at the end of doing that design I had to make his whiteboard, but then I had to move it all the way to the beginning. I'm going to trace his whiteboard in first before I do anything else. That way I don't have to go and change the order around later. And when you're tracing a perfect rectangle, it's always easier to just go ahead and use your rectangle tool up here. If you don't have the rectangles currently selected, you can hit this little arrow and this flyout menu will come. You can pick whatever shape. I'm going to choose rectangle, and we're just going to click and drag the rectangle in. And remember, you can go in and just nudge it to make it exactly the right shape. There we go. Just nudging one of these corners here. There we go. Okay, so we've got this. I want it to be white, and I want it to be a standard fill. That's this one here, this purple star. Standard fill. Okay. Now, here's the problem. I can't see through this to trace the rest of my design. So what am I going to do? Well, what the problem really is that I have this in 3D mode. So if I go over here and click on that, and then zoom in, look, I can see right through my stitching. And that's how I like to digitize, in 2D mode, so that I can see my stitch ends and I know where the stitches are. Because sometimes when you're digitizing, you end up having to have your stitches not in exactly the same place as the artwork. So if you hide your stitching and then try to just trace the artwork, sometimes you get off of where you're supposed to be. Anyway, oops, my mouse wheel sometimes does that. I need to get a new mouse. So the next thing I'm going to trace is, let's see, I'm thinking it over here basically. I might do his body. I think I'll do his belly, because that's kind of under everything else, sort of. And then his body with this leg. Maybe I'll do this leg separate to give it a little bit of dimension. Then his head. And then this. So let's go ahead and start. I'm just going to trace what I like to use. I like to use the straight line tool. Some people will tell you to use the Bezier curve to get perfect curves. I have found in my experience anyway that you don't really need a perfect curve unless you're being real anal about it for most embroidery purposes. So let's see. We're going to go ahead and start drawing this this yellow belly in here. We're going to just left click and we're going to drag. Well, you don't left click and drag. Hang on. Back up. You left click to place your first point, and then you left click to place your next point, and so on to get your straight lines in. And then once you have the shape that you're drawing, also I like to overlap a little bit to keep from getting gaps. So I'm overlapping just a little bit into the green here. Okay, and then once you have your shape closed, you right click to generate the line. You pick your color. I'm going to pick this harvest color here, and I'll go ahead and make this a fill. Okay, we're going to go down to the next area, which is going to be this spot here. And I'm just going to left click. Now, if you really want a curve, you can get one by holding down your control key. So you don't even have to go into a different tool. I'm holding down the control key and see how it's curving for me? That's a little trick. Take that with you. So it doesn't matter what I do right here because I'm overlapping. I'm going to be overlapping that edge. So even though it's not like perfectly straight, it doesn't matter. And if you mess up, you can always hit backspace to go back. Up we go, and there we are. We've got this next area. It's already the right color, and we hit the fill, and there it is. Okay, I'm going to go and do the next part of his tail. I'm going to start inside the green. Remember, I want to have a little bit of overlap between my areas. And I could make this curve better by holding the control key. I'm not doing that though, because I don't really care. I probably would if I was really doing this design. Actually, I already digitized this design and sent it to her because this was like a week ago that she sent me this email. And she was in a rush. Ah, my mouse is doing that again. Really? That is really annoying. Alright, so now we make this a fill. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I need a new mouse. This is driving me nuts. Alright, where was I? I got all distracted. Oh, so the other thing we could do actually, we could change the directionality of this type of stitch too, this fill stitch, by choosing a different type of stitch. If we want this to kind of flow along, like have the stitch direction change on the fly as we go here, we can actually put a fill stitch into a satin stitch's body, so to speak, by hitting the satin tool down here. And when we go in and put in our stitch directions here for the satin stitch, which this is how you choose the direction the stitches are going to go. Each one of these is like forcing the stitches to go one way. When I generate this by right-clicking, it puts a satin stitch in, but I don't want that. I want this to actually be a fill. I can go up and change the pattern here from satin to smooth in my properties and hit apply. And what this is going to do is make this a fill stitch. Let's put this in 3D. This is going to make this a fill stitch that actually contours to my curve. Look at that. Okay, and I could do the same thing for this part of his belly if I wanted to. I could go over here, make it a satin stitch. So I got to get back to the select tool, make it a satin stitch, and I can change my directions here. Now remember, this isn't really a satin stitch. Once I change it to, see here, this is giving me this error. If I was going to leave this as a satin stitch, this wouldn't work. But I can actually take this, change it to a smooth, hit apply. That's going to sew out and give me that nice little dimensionality. The direction, the flow of my stitches go that way. Alright, turn off the 3D here. Okay, so I digress. Where was I? We want to do next, say, this part of his body. Okay, because it's kind of under the head a little bit. You know, I want to have the head overlap it from this side. So we're going to do the green part of his body. And remember, we can overlap into this dark green, and that's totally fine. We're allowed to do that. In fact, we should do that, because otherwise there might be a gap. Okay, so I'm going around here. Okay. And here where I'm going right up against the yellow fill. What I really ought to be doing here, let's see if my mouse cooperates when I zoom in. Too far. Oh my god. This mouse, I'm seriously going to throw this mouse out the window. I am not even kidding. Alright. So what I like to do when I'm getting close to the to another fill, and actually I messed it up back here. So I'm trying to match the edge here, and what I like to do is just barely cross over the stitch points from the other one. See how I'm just crossing over it just a little bit. That's a good enough overlap for right there. Okay, that's going to keep me from having a gap. And it's going to look nice and natural, the seam here between these two fills. So I'm just going along. This is why I like to leave my stitches so that I can do this. And I'm going to all of a sudden change directions here because I'm going to do this part of his leg as a different fill. Let me zoom back out a little bit. And right here we're going to be under, and right here we're going to be underneath of my leg when I eventually digitize that. And now the same thing on this side. I'm going to keep it within those points. And if you have to zoom in more to see that, you can. We're going to let the arm be a separate piece as well. Just kind of adds a little dimension to it, you know, when you have the arms, legs, and the head as separate pieces from the body. And that's one of the things you just don't get with auto-digitizing. It's just not capable of doing that. Okay, we've got this part of the body. We'll pick a color green for it. I'm going to zoom back out and go ahead and apply a standard fill to this. And let's go ahead and put that in 3D, see what we got. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay, next I'm going to zoom in on his leg, and I'm going to do the leg. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go and get my straight line tool again, and I'm going to start digitizing the leg. So the boundary of this is not really all that clearly defined all the way across, so I have to kind of make my own artistic decision there where that's going to go. And then when I get to the toes, there's not really an outline around this, so to give it this hint of the toes, I'm going to take this up and then back like that, and that's going to put like a little fold into the fill when I do it. Again, a little hint of dimensionality there. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the stitch direction for the foot so that the stitches are going a different way than the rest of the body. And that also is going to really kind of make it look a little different than the rest. So we'll go ahead and hit the fill stitch there. I'll do that in 3D. Yeah, that's what I was imagining pretty much. And now we go up to our shape tool, hit the little arrow under it, choose add inclination, and I'm going to change the stitch direction for this. So I'm going to have this going this way. Okay, see these stitches are going a slightly different direction than the rest of the body. Lovely. That's pretty much what I wanted. Okay, turn that back off. And while I'm at it, I may as well do this little part down here as long as I'm down here. Okay, moving right along. Go ahead and make that a fill. Lovely, lovely. We'll go up and do his arm here. And really what I ought to be doing is zooming in more, but my mouse is being so annoying right now and zooming me in and out wildly that I'm not doing that. Tracing back up into here. And remember, we can use that remove overlap stitches to get rid of that overlap over the white there. Okay, apply the fill stitch to it. Again, I'm going to change the stitch direction just a little bit, just a hair, just to change it so that it's different. Oh, you know what? That messed it up. Look, 3D, that made a big mess. Sometimes it'll happen. You can't have certain stitch directions. The computer's just not able to handle it. So you want to keep an eye out for that. So let's go in and change our inclination a little bit here. And it just doesn't like this shape, basically. You know what I should do here, though, is do it as a satin stitch and put several inclinations in. It's going to give me that warning, remember, because I have to go and change this to smooth. There we go. Now he's got kind of a little, even more dimension to that. I keep saying dimension. It's like my word of the video. Alright, we'll turn off the 3D. I'm going to do his head next. Or should I do... I think I'm going to do the spots. Well, being so wishy-washy. I'm going to do the head next. So that way it doesn't go from one color to the next and then back again. Alright, so I'm going to use my straight line tool, and we're going to start tracing around his nose. And if you want to, you can zoom in farther than I am, and you'll be able to see through it even better. Whoop, made a mistake, so I hit backspace. I'm just left clicking all the way through here. Click, click, click away. Okay, so there we go, we got that. We're going to go ahead and turn this into a fill. And I'm going to have my stitch direction going kind of this way. I think is going to look nice. Put that in 3D, take a look. Yeah, see, this is the same color as this, but see how different this looks from here to here? That's what changing the stitch direction will do for you. Okay, I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit here. And let's see, what do I want to do next? We've got that, I guess I need to do this part of his hand up here. You know, this hand, part of it is behind this and part of it is in front of it. Very tricksy. It's alright, we'll deal with that later. And okay, make that a fill. In 3D, back up and see what we got so far. We've got most of a dinosaur. Pretty slick. Alright, turn off 3D and zoom back in here. Alright, so next we're going to do his mouth. Oh, you know what? No. I want to do the dark green. Yeah, I want to do the dark green next. Okay, so we're going to switch to a darker color green. And I'm going to first trace this large area of it. And remember, you want to zoom in and you don't look at your artwork, okay? You want to look at your stitches. See how these stitches, I didn't trace this perfectly and it doesn't go all the way down. So if I don't start this up here, it's not going to match up. I want to go ahead and give myself a little bit of bonus room right here. Right here. See how, let me zoom in a little more. See how I've just crossed over that to make it so that it makes up for the fact that I didn't trace that perfect? I mean, I could go back and redraw that or use the shape tool to fix it, but it's up to you how you want to do that. I mean, I'm just showing you the way that I do things, which is by no means the right way. It's just a way that I know works pretty much. So if you know, obviously, you know better ways to do stuff, go ahead and leave a comment. I will probably just keep doing things the way that I do them, because that's the way that I do things. And I'm just tracing the contours here. And remember, we're overlapping this on purpose. We wanted there to be no gap. Didn't follow my own advice there. I should go and look at how closely I'm following the edge of this so there's overlap here. I'm going to backspace a couple times. good enough for me. Clicking and clicking, clicking and clicking. By the way, I got a new microphone, so I hope this sounds better than my old videos. I think it should, because the old videos sounded pretty atrocious. Alright, go ahead and make this a fill. Okay. Let's look in 3D here. Wow, that is a terrible color for this. Let's pick a different color. That's better. Notice we've got this big crazy jump going from one part of this to another. A lot of times that can be fixed by going and changing your start-stop points, which you go up here to the shape tool, just the base shape tool. Edit path. Where's my start-stop points, buddy? Hang on. Reselect this. Click on shape. There we go. Start is here. Stop is here. Green, start. Red, stop. Let's change it so that they both are in the same spot. There we go. Got rid of that mess. Okay. Now we're gonna do the rest of. Sorry, almost dropped my microphone. We're gonna do the rest of the dark green dots. Turn off 3D here, and just go ahead and trace these. There, fill, and these are actually all kind of similar. So I'm gonna. Oops, I did not mean to cut that. I'm gonna go ahead and copy and paste these. So I right-click on one, copy, paste, drag it down, and kind of stretch it out a little bit. Copy and paste. Do the same thing with this one. Boy, that's an ugly shape I drew, isn't it? You know, what would have been smarter would have been for me to go in and use the ellipse tool here to draw an oval in, rather than trace that myself. Getting lazy here. There we go. That's what I should have done that whole time up there. Here we'll do this one. And apply a stitch. Okay. Some of these are more blobby, can't really be traced with the circle tool. Get those blobs in there. And anybody who knows what they're doing is watching this being like, why are you doing in this sequence? This is terrible. Yeah, I know. I have really bad digitizing habits. I'm sorry. If I was smart, I would be doing this in an order that would make sense, that would flow from here to here to here to here to here to here to here, etc. So when you're digitizing yours, do as I say, not as I do. Tracing around. All it does really is when you path everything correctly is it just makes everything look a little neater. Makes it sew out a little neater, I should say. You don't get jump stitches in as many places. But this is digitizing stuff like this is really good practice. This is good practice for getting down the way that you have to click to make these shapes. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of trouble with a mouse. And the only way to get better really is to just sit here and do this over and over and over. Even if you hate it, you know, if you want to do stuff like this and have it actually look pretty good, the only thing you can do is just go and trace it. You're not going to be able to do an auto-digitize that's going to look perfect on everything. There is no way. Some things you can actually make look perfect with auto-digitize, but not everything. There's some things that it doesn't work for. All right, let's zoom out and see where we're at here. 3D starting to take shape pretty well here. Got lots of nice detail. Got his arms, got texture on it, and his leg is separate from his body, his head. Oh, you know what? somehow I managed to make his his arm up here the wrong color. What color is his body? Moss green? No, lime green. Where's that? Lime green. There we go. Okay, so we've got a one spot of dark green on his head, and I didn't want to do it from here. I want it to be part of the head. So I'm going to turn off a 3D. Oh, he's got a couple of spots, but I want these to be part of the head, even this one. So I'm going to get my line tool and start tracing this out. And I really probably ought to go into the shape tool and fix this edge here where this doesn't line up all the way. Even though I tried to fix it with my green here, it's bugging me. I can't help it. I gotta fix it. Alright, so we grab this. The way you do this is you grab the one that you need to work on. Like I've got this area of fill that's not perfect. And I hit my shape tool, and I can pull these points that I drew earlier down a little bit. Boom. Now it comes around and looks nice. Okay, where was I? I was doing green stuff. So I'm going to get back to that. We've got one more. Well, we've got 3 more dark green spots to work on. Then we're going to do the maybe we'll do the eyes next. Apply, fill. Got a couple of circles. Apply a fill stitch. Another circle. Hit that fill stitch button. Okay, lovely. Alright, so let's do his eyeballs next. So, I'm gonna go ahead and use my line tool. White is the color. And we're just tracing around. Oh, need to back up a little bit there. Trace around his eye here. Oh, man, I am getting sloppy tonight. I must have had too many digitizing beverages. Down we go. Close this well, I'm just going to close it by clicking here. Okay, make that a fill. And we'll do the same thing on the other side here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ignore his eye, this shading, like this eyeshadow that he's got here. I'm just going to leave that out. You can do that, you can just leave parts out. And I'm going to change the stitch direction for this eye too. Like that. The other one's kind of okay, like it's going, well maybe, you know what, maybe I'll change the other one slightly too now that I'm looking at it. About like that. Yeah. Put that in 3D, take a look. It's eyes, he's got eyes. Alright, so there's his eyes, now we need the, is there any other white in this? I don't think so. So alright, we'll move on to the next color. I'm going to do blue, and I'm going to do the same thing I did last time with the auto-digitizer. I'm going to do these just one color blue. If you really want, you can do it 2 colors. You just have to trace it, each section. Alright, so we've got blue. Pick blue, and we'll fill that. And I can't copy and paste because they're different shapes. This has got a flat bottom. So I'm going to go in and use the ellipse tool again. Rotate it. And then before I do a stitch, I'm going to go back to the reform tool here. Hey, come on. Not reform, what do they call it? The shape tool. And grab the bottom of this and flatten it out a bit. Just like that. Good enough for me. Make it a fill. Perfect. I'm going to zoom in a bit more so I can see better. We're going to get the black parts of his eyes, then we're going to do the rest of the black on him. So, look at this, rotate this, stretch it out a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect though, remember I can't help myself. I'm always doing stuff that it really doesn't need to be exactly perfect. You waste a lot of time doing that. Alright, so we made that black. And we draw the next circle in for the black part of his eye. What do they call that? The iris on an eye, I think. There we go. Alright, zoom back out. Take another look. Draw 3D. Hey, he's looking pretty friendly. Well, except he doesn't have a mouth, and that's kind of scary. Alright, turn 3D off, and we'll do his mouth next and his nose so that he can feel better about himself. Alright, line tool, we're going to do the mouth. Okay, make it black. It already is black. There we go. Okay, and we've got his nostrils. Make them kind of oblong like this. Put them in place. And I'm just going to copy and paste this one. Move it over here. Oops, grabbed the wrong thing. There we go. Okay, he's got nostrils, and now he needs eyebrows. Use the line tool for that. Cool. And just for fun, let's make those satin stitches. Why not? Do the same thing for the other one. Okay, here we go. And there we go. Okay. See what we got here. Put in 3D. Sweet. Gotta do his spines and his tongue and his fingernails, and then we're done. Awesome. Alright. Get that tongue going. What am I doing? Line tool. Clicking around and making a tongue. Lovely. Alright, so red and standard fill. Okay. Now we need his spines. Go ahead and trace those. Again, I'm going to make these one color, not two colors. If you really want, you could go in and add the other color in. I'm also going to make it so that these are all connected. Like these are kind of separate on here, but I'm going to leave them connected. And I am getting tired of doing this, so I'm being really sloppy. That happens sometimes. Oop, backspace. Okay, up we go. Alright, and we'll make that a fill. Oh, we gotta make it orange though. Orange, yeah, that's vermilion. You know, I don't really have an orange in this embroidery color palette down here. That's silly. I'll make it reddish brown. That'll do. Okay. Oh, fingernails. That's right. Alright, so the way I'm going to do these, I'm going to do each of these as a separate piece. That way, they're as detailed as I can get them, pretty much. I'm just going to go in, do each one separately. Okay, and then this one, let's see, we'll make it that same harvest as his belly, why not? Okay, and then we'll get around here. And I'm layering them. You see that? This one's on top of that one. This one's on top of this one. Okay, one more. And there. Okay, see how that looks in 3D. Nice. See how they're individual toes? In the auto-digitized one, they were just like a kind of messy blob. Alright. Fingernails. Same thing. 1, 2, 3. It's what order they are, whether they need to be, one in front of another. Okay. Fill. Next. The end is near, guys. Almost done here. Okay, fill. And we've got the other hand up here to do. We're going to need to remove some overlapped artwork. And we will be in business. Fill. Wow, that is really sloppy. It is good that I am not currently making something that I'm going to sew out, because I'm being really sloppy with my lines. Just imagine that I'm not being so sloppy. Alright, so we've got him pretty much done. Let's put him in 3D and see how he looks. Yeah, that's lovely. We could sew that out and it would sew out right now, but we really should remove some of the overlapped artwork here. So she also wanted to add some text in there. I'm not going to do that for this video, because really the purpose of this was to do the actual digitizing here. But we ended up with a pretty good looking design, I think. We're going to go ahead and go to the body layer. I'm going to do his head. I'm going to right click it, choose remove overlap stitches, and I'm going to allow 0.5 millimeters for the overlap distance and click OK. And right there, it just messed me up. See, it took this layer here out. So I'm going to undo. Now you got to always be careful when you use that remove overlap stitch tool, because it really can mess some stuff up. And if you don't notice, because you have your backdrop tool still on, like if I hadn't noticed that this was a different shade of green all of a sudden, I might have saved this and then went and tried and sew it out. Be like, where's my design? And it wouldn't have been any good. So we're going to go and try that again, and this time we're going to go in, right click, we're going to try remove overlap stitches, we're going to decrease this overlap distance and choose OK and see if that does a better job. No, it still has taken this out. Okay, so sometimes your stitch data is just too complex for the remove overlap tool to work. It's actually pretty good, and I'm actually pretty surprised that it's not letting me do it with this, but it's okay. We can still fix this. So we go over, well, basically the problem is this part of his head, okay, there's so many unnecessary stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the embroidery, not embroidery, we're going to go to the white fill here, and we are going to see what's the best way for me to do this. I can think of like 4 different ways to do this, and I'm trying to decide what I want to do. If I go in and draw, well, they'd have to be artwork for that. Basically what I'm going to do, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the shape tool, and I'm going to add some points by right-clicking on my line, like this, and it's going to allow me to actually, that's not what I wanted to do, undo that. I want to add the points all in after this corner, basically, which is going to allow me to move. No. See, I didn't put enough points in. Undo. We need more points. So I need another point here that I never move. There we go. See how I'm able to just take this, and I'm changing the whole shape, but it's all stuff that's underneath of, add another point, it's underneath of my green. So I'm manually removing the overlap by changing the actual shape of this white fill. Okay, and I could do it a little more accurately than that if I wanted to, but most of the time you really won't have to do that, though. Most of the time that remove overlap will work. It's just when, but basically what I probably should have been doing all along is doing remove overlap for each step, rather than waiting to the end when there was so much more complicated stitch information there. That's actually the best thing I could have done, really, is every time I put some overlap down, I should have done a remove overlap. So when I was drawing the eyes, I should have done a remove overlap. was doing the head, I should have done remove overlap. And if I'd have done that throughout the entire, tracing of this design, then I wouldn't have had that problem just then. All right, anyway, that's pretty much it. So that's how you would digitize this design. And so, Jamie, I hope that this video helps you and that you enjoyed it, and I hope you got all your shirts done and that everybody's happy. So thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.